Annulment in Alabama. In this video, we're going to go over what is an annulment and how you can get an annulment. An annulment differs in the divorce in that a divorce is you were validly married and then we split up assets and debts following the marriage, whereas an annulment simply declares that what everyone thought was a marriage was not actually a marriage. And so in the eyes of the law, the marriage never existed. So what are the grounds for an annulment? So let's say you file an annulment. What do you have to prove in order to get an annulment? You've got fraudulent relationship, underage marriage, incestuous marriage, concealed sexually transmitted disease, marriage of coercion, and bigamous marriage. So the first and the one that I use most commonly is the fraudulent inducement, going to the essence of the marriage relation. And here's the case law that goes into that. The most common, we've got two different things. Number one would be refusal to have sex, or two, if the purpose of the marriage was to get citizenship. This case here, Jonda versus Jonda, is to me the quintessential case to use. A man refused to share a bed with his wife and refused to engage in sexual relations with her. Wife testified she'd remain in the marriage because she originally believed his reluctance to engage in marital intercourse with her resulted from cultural differences between them. Man then told wife that he would not engage in marital intercourse with her because of her weight. However, after wife lost 65 pounds, he continued to refuse to have sex with her. The wife testified that after 20-some months of marriage, she realized the man she had married would never have sex with her. Upon that realization, she petitioned for an annulment, and the court said that is grounds for an annulment. And you can use this case for both refusal to have sex, and again, it means refusal to have sex even one time. This is not as often as you would like, or for purposes to get married, to get citizenship. Again, it goes to the essence of the marital relations. Lies about wealth, age, education, background, personal habits, similar matters are not necessarily viewed as essential to marriage relations. I've gotten an annulment before when someone was a sex offender and didn't let their spouse know that they were a sex offender. Fertility in some states can be an issue. Here in our states, even if you knew you were not fertile and then told your husband that you were fertile, that's not grounds for an annulment in our state. Underage marriage, if you're underage, that one of the parties are underage, that's grounds for an annulment. Incestuous, grounds for annulment. Concealed sexual transmitted disease, this falls under the fraudulent essence of the marriage. It's not going to guarantee it, but just based upon the facts can work. So after you get the annulment, what happens next? So sometimes an annulment, even if some of these work, may not be the best path, because once we determine that the marriage never took place and you guys are living together, how do you split up assets? Some things are titled, such as a car is titled, a house would be titled, but what about furniture and things like that? It just makes it a little bit more complicated if we get an annulment sometimes.